Mishke here, joining the GL world to pitch my new podcast, which now comes out twice a week, Wednesdays and Fridays. The show features an extraordinary array of exotic circus performers, forgotten Hollywood starlets, reclusive Fortune 500 CEOs, professional taxidermists. Wait a minute, that's a different promo. Where's the promo for GLers? Here it is. Let's try this again. Mishke here, pitching my new podcast. We're out of time? Could I do it again?
Joe, I am rolling.
Josh Arnold Investment Consultant brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1642, October 20, 2025. 83 degrees on this day was the record high. That was in 1953. It was 18 degrees on this day in 1960. And what? 7.9 inches of snow on this day in 2020. I don't recall that. Do yourself a favor and call Josh Arnold at 952-925-5608 for a free 48-minute consultation.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
We're joined in the studio by Eric Rasmussen of the Channel 5 Eyewitness News investigative team. Eric's been around for 7, going on 8 years with KSTP. Where are you from, Eric?
I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Did you do any investigative work for TV out there?
I sure did. KTVU.
The current investigative work that you guys have done has resulted in a special which will air tonight called What the Fraud?
WTF.
We're anticipating a 9 o'clock start for that because of an early start for the Monday Night Football game on ABC. Have you, in your years of doing investigative work, particularly noteworthy that you were in San Francisco, have you ever seen anything this bad?
Never.
I can't imagine that we would. And, you know, we've been talking about it on this show for 5 years. We've been really following it closely and have become highly critical of Tim Walz's leadership. And I gather you're going to run through the gamut of the fraud, the food fraud, housing fraud, addiction, autism, housing stabilization. Am I correct?
You got it.
What are you going to find out what are we going to see that perhaps we don't know yet?
Well, I think you're going to get some more perspective at minimum here, Joe. I mean, my colleague Eric Rasmussen just interviewed the new Inspector General for DHS. This guy started in March. And I just went back to review Eric's reporting. More than 1,000 or about 1,000 active investigations into care providers across programs.
Since March?
Well, currently. Today. And I think that's an important number because this is not a retrospective by itself. Let's go back and look at what happened. This is actively happening right now in Minnesota. The top prosecutors say it, the governor says it, and this new Inspector General says it.
The governor's been useless in terms of enforcing any consequences, getting to the bottom of this. He's danced around it for years. I don't know what you guys found, guys and gals found, when you did interview Walz. Tom Hauser, I believe.
Tom Hauser has a brand new interview with Governor Walz. And, you know, I've interviewed governors across many different states over many years. There's going to be some limitation in what you get, but Tom's not afraid to ask.
No, I'm looking forward to learning something because I'm unaware of anyone being held to consequence so far.
Accountability is a key part of this, right?
And there isn't any.
Well, and I think you're gonna Tom, ask point blank.
Okay.
The criticism that this has happened on your watch,
right?
And I don't want to mischaracterize the governor's response, but he does respond to that. The other thing he says is the acknowledgement that there's more fraud, like we talked about, to be uncovered. This is not a, hey, we closed the gap in the dam and now we're okay.
Right.
He's not going to say that. And it stuck out to me that he even called this, I'm looking at my notes here, we have an organized crime ring in Minnesota, is how he's describing.
He being Walz.
Governor Walz, the extent of the fraud that's been going on for years and is still happening.
Well, I hope Tom said, okay, Governor, but that crime ring works for you.
Well, I'll let you I'll let you weigh in on that, Joe.
What you're aware of a popular documentary that was aired, getting to be 2 weeks ago now, called Precarious State.
Yeah.
But this is distinct from that. This has nothing to do with. This is the state fraud problem, state government fraud
This
problem.
is government assistance fraud. So I'm not going to speak to the other documentary, and that's fine.
Right.
I think it's important to make sure, and you want to consume a variety of media sources in this world we live in today. There's so many. You can go nuts. But not to toot our horn too much, but I think we hold ourselves to a very high standard. I know I do, and our team does in our investigative unit. And sometimes it can be frustrating for people because we can only report what we can prove. And tonight we're going to show you everything that we can prove and what we've learned directly from our sources that we've confirmed. And we ask the tough questions like we talked about.
Do you have a dollar amount yet that the taxpayers have been deprived of?
It's funny you ask that. Billions with an S.
No, and a B.
And a B. And this came up in my interview. I just did a fresh interview with U.S. Attorney, Prosecutor Joe Thompson. Until very recently, he was the acting U.S. Attorney.
Right.
But more importantly is he's on the ground floor of this because he's the lead prosecutor on the Feeding Our Future cases. And he made big news with my buddy Jay Coles this summer when he first invoked the $1 billion in fraud.
Right.
So I said, hey, you stand by that? Are you just throwing around numbers here? He said, oh, it's at least that. He said that is what they will eventually have ended up charging. We talk about reporting what you can prove. He thinks they'll get to the point where prosecutors can prove $1 billion in fraud. But if you just take a step back and we give him the license to do so, he says he thinks there is billions with an S.
Did your team discover fraud that has not been made public?
We get tips all the time. And I think a good example of that is some reporting that Eric Rasmussen did, one of our reporters, about the integrated community services. I mean, there's so many acronyms, you'll go dizzy if we try to sort them all out. But this is ICS. This was not on the radar.
Oh, I have not heard of it.
He hears from a guy who legitimately needs help. Smart guy, physically limited. There was a promise to assist him with it's a type of housing assistance in addition to other kinds of assistance. And his provider, some guy who's submitting invoices to the state, is not providing the help, he says.
Right.
And he files complaints. And Eric follows up. And that was not on the radar.
Right.
But I promise you, when they have the news conferences and they start throwing around all the acronyms, now that's one of the ones that's on the radar. DHS has taken steps to pause payments to some of those providers. So that's just an example I give you. There are others in the hopper, obviously, that I probably can't speak to. But we hear about it all the time from people. And certainly, we've got promos running for this special. That just, it's like, dropping an ember into some dry brush.
Go back to what you said. Walz is quoted, I'm paraphrasing, to the point where he said there's an organized crime ring. And he means within the government, apparently.
No, he doesn't.
He does not.
No. And look, he says accurately in this interview, there is not a government official, a bureaucrat, who's been charged in these cases. That is factual.
Right.
The people charged are wide-ranging, and I talk about the prosecutor, Joe Thompson. He used to be a gang prosecutor and drug trafficking prosecutor in Chicago. He says what we're seeing now is more akin to that than the individual fraudster. Because in the past, it used to be, when I worked in California, I worked in Boston, we'd find a guy ripping off food stamps, right? And he's posting on Facebook, I'll sell you my food stamps today. That's fraud.
Right.
They charge him, they arrest him, they put him away, and you're done. What Thompson and Walz is now acknowledging is it's not that simple. There is a vast network of people who are clearly, at least at minimum, comparing notes about how they do this kind of thing, and that's what we're up against.
I've always had a very basic question. I don't know if you guys got to the bottom of it or really had any need to, but when they were getting, when the Department of Education, for example, was getting their bills from so-called food providers, and those food providers were saying, yeah, we fed 7,000 kids last week. Wasn't there anybody there to say, wait a minute, you really fed 7,000 kids? Does that come up at all? How did that happen? That people were that stupid to believe that 7,000... I mean, that would have made your newscast every night. That would have been something that 4, 5, 11, and 9 would have said, holy cow, look at this line of kids going around the block to get fed. That never happened.
It didn't.
No.
And, you know, I've covered 2 Feeding Our Future trials, including the 6-week-long trial of Amy Bach and one of her lieutenants who ran the Safari restaurant, which, by the way, was a legitimate restaurant prior to the pandemic. And the FBI set up poll cameras to try to get video of these lines of people.
There aren't any.
Minivan here, minivan there. There's not. I think the answer may not be satisfying to you or to people who want to take a sledgehammer and say, oh, there's the bad actor, right?
Right.
It is in the record. It's in the court record. It's in the investigations. There were those at MDE who at some point, and prior to any investigating by the feds or anyone else, who said, no, this stuff doesn't add up. Mm-hmm. And to some extent, and I'm not giving MDE a pass here, to some extent tried to cut off some of the funding. Said, we're not going to pay these.
Then we got a
lawsuit.
lawsuit.
Then we got a lawsuit, right? And we have, I mean, Amy Bach showed up on the Channel 5 News in 2021 saying, we know they're discriminating. We know they're being unfair. We're suing them. And I won't get into the weeds on how that lawsuit played out, but there was some overture from the judge to MDE that you better be real sure. And so the timeline is MDE tries to stop some of this, Amy Bach sues, and the faucet gets turned back on.
But the judge did not order MDE, the education department, to make payments. That's been a misconception.
You're
in this
right,
town.
and you heard the way I said it.
Yeah.
The timeline is the timeline, and again, I think there's a criticism pie to be handed out, and I don't mean to like soft pedal it, but there's plenty to go around, and MDE certainly shares part of that. But to answer your question, yeah, there was somebody saying this doesn't look right, but the question is, and the accountability for us is, okay, what did we do? Mm-hmm. And clearly, there is not a person, Republican, DFL, Independent, anywhere who says we did enough.
Right.
I haven't found that person.
Do you find this, in your experience? You're not a young guy. I mean, you're a young guy.
You're
a young guy.
I'm going to show myself out, gentlemen.
You're a young guy compared to me. What I'm meaning is you've been around doing this for a while.
Yep.
All right?
Yep, fair.
Is this unique in the country?
I'll tell you, my skeptical reporter brain told me it's not. And when I sat down with Joe Thompson, this is the prosecutor, federal prosecutor, I said, come on, Joe. I lived in California. I've lived on the East Coast, Florida. I've been everywhere. Is there a chance this is just going on everywhere, and you guys have really done a heck of a job unearthing it? And his answer was notable, and you can hear it tonight. He says, no. He says, we are unique. He says, yes, you can go find individual fraudulent actors in some of these government programs in other states. And, the bureaucracy, the big states like California, are. He says, but what they're finding is there are some programs, he says, he didn't specify, maybe I should have followed up. There are some aid programs in this state that he says, his words are, almost entirely full of fraud.
Do you get into ethnicity at all?
I talked to him about it.
I mean, this is pretty much Somali fraud.
I called it the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue our reporting on it. I will tell you, and I don't know if it may be in the outtakes here, but I asked him about it. And obviously a huge number of the people charged, let's take Feeding Our Future, but you can take other programs, are from the Somali community, East African community, to be fair. And I asked him, why are we seeing that? And also fair to point out, the person at the very tippy top was a white lady from here in the burbs. He didn't have a direct answer, but he does talk about people being promised the American dream. Now, I don't get the sense that he's trying to shift blame away from these people who just clearly ripped off the system.
Oh, they think the American dream is to get rich as quickly as possible.
These bad actors, they'd have a hard time convincing anybody otherwise. That's exactly what it was. I mean, the text messages, my goodness, it gets lost in the, noise of everything. There were text messages where one guy's texting his other, hey, bro, we're going to be multimillionaires. I mean, it was just that blatant. Why it's happening in that community, I think there's more questions to be asked about that.
All right.
And I think
will you be asking those, do you think,
absolutely,
as time plays out here?
Yes. And I think but the other context to include, because I was, there are many, immigrant communities here in the Twin Cities. Thompson points out also, even before their investigation of Feeding Our Future was made public, some of the people coming in the door to inform them, to help them, were also from the Somali community. So, as a reporter who has to stand by everything that comes out of my mouth with facts or documentation, I think that's important to point out too. But it is. I mean, you can't ignore it. And I think there are people even in the Somali community who would want some answers about that, because the people who are doing right are taking it on the head too.
Well, the Somali community is the one that tipped them off in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Has Joe Thompson moved on?
No, he's here.
Okay. Because we want to talk to him, and he's
now in charge of this, Joe. This is his only job.
Right. But there's a new
right,
federal
and that
attorney.
new guy has said, "This is your deal.
Right.
You pursue this."
Because we don't want to lose him.
No, we
and he has a special characteristic in this. He's a native Minnesotan.
Yes, he is.
This is meaningful to him in that sense.
I talked to him about that, and he says he thinks that's part of what has made Minnesota susceptible, is the things that Minnesota offers, the mentality that we collectively as a state have had for so many years, certainly longer than I've been here, going way back, may have also been what made us so vulnerable. I think, what were his words? He doesn't want to call it naivete, maybe. Right. And he worries that played a role. I'm trying to find it. I'm such a nerd here, Joe. But he did talk about it, and he thinks that's part of. Oh, here it is. I don't know if it was arrogance. Naivete is maybe the word, that we were blind, or we wanted to put our heads in the sand, that things have changed in our state. And he's a heck of a messenger, because he knows what he's talking about.
I'm going to really look forward to this.
Eric, earlier you mentioned that Governor Walz said that he does not think that any elected position has had a hand or a role in the fraud.
He said no one's been charged.
Well, sorry, no one's been charged. But let me ask you this. As someone that's skeptical by nature, meaning me, I find it entirely impossible that's the case. But you have Keith Ellison, Omar Fateh, and Ilhan, who all received campaign contributions from this very fraud-riddled system. How did they get this information, how to organize these fraud schemes to begin with?
Well, that might even have to be a different special.
Hey, we're not done.
No.
We're not even close.
I'm happy to help produce that if you want.
All right. Well, you're welcome to come down to the investigative office.
I'm not raising my hand.
I have a face for radio and podcast.
Eric Rasmussen, it's called What the Fraud Tonight, Channel 5. It's a 5 Eyewitness News Special report. For my money, long overdue, and I'm happy that it's done. And I'll be watching it. And there's a fighting chance we get this on at 9 p.m. or so, because it's following Monday Night Football, but because there's 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. One starts at 6 p.m.
Correct.
And that is the one on Channel 5. That's somebody at Tampa Bay at Detroit.
Yes, sir.
And following that game, we have What the Fraud. I'm looking forward to it. Eric, thank you very much.
Eric, it's funny that he called you old, but he's worried about his own bedtime and what time he's going to
Hey,
I didn't say old. I was trying to think of a way to say you're not a 21-year-old.
you got to work a lot harder than that to offend me, Joe.
Should have said
Get outta
seasoned.
here.
He's very seasoned.
No, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. None of that was meant as an offense. What I was saying is we're not dealing with a rookie reporter here.
I found it.
That's what I'm saying.
I thought rookie was a good term around here.
Yeah, sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Not really. Not really. Say, I want to remind you, exciting news from the Center of the American Experiment. The Golden Turkey Awards are here. Minnesota, well, speaking of fraud, Minnesota government wastes a lot of money on ridiculous things, and each year the Center of the American Experiment gives out the Golden Turkey Award to the worst waste of money. If you have an example of ridiculous spending in Minnesota, go to americanexperiment.org/golden turkey and submit your idea. The Center of the American Experiment will be naming the finalists on November 1st. Then the voting takes place through November, and the winner of the 2025 Golden Turkey Award will be announced right here on Garage Logic.
Can we just piggyback in off of Eric's report? And can that be my entry and then I win?
Go to americanexperiment.org and nominate your choice today for the 2025 Golden Turkey Award.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Boy, I am loving this new batch of bumper
What's
music
not to love?
from Dylan Heidt. My goodness. You know what else I love? I love you, GLers. You gals and guys are so cool. But when you get a chance, I want you to go look and see what another GLer has done. Go to the YouTube. Go to Gear and Tread, TREAD on YouTube. Watch the video called Just Add Gas. A group of guys rode from Emily to Copper Harbor on UTVs, round trip, there and back. And right out of the gate, they had issues. Now, the kind of issues we all have. I want to read this email from Dan about how a little bit of seafoam and a little bit of trail side maintenance saved the day. Kenny, not sure if this trip is a ray of hope, but that trips like this are possible. But as you can see at the beginning of the video, we had 3 machines on day one with overheating issues. I believe they had, if I remember right, 15 machines. They were overheating. We stopped at an auto parts store, bought a can of seafoam, divided the can among the 3 machines that were performing poorly, and then we pressure washed the radiators, tuned up the engines, and didn't have any more issues during the rest of our 1,200-mile round trip to Michigan and back. GLers, go to YouTube channel called Gear and Tread, and you can see all about it. A really cool trip. And I know a lot of you can commiserate. We've all done trailside or roadside maintenance, something we should have had done a long time ago, so we feel the pain there. But thank goodness for seafoam, a little pressure washing, and a little more seafoam. Tune up, back on the trail, and everything was awesome. A great, great trip for GLers. A wonderful product in a world of bad gas and cylinder neglect. We're talking seafoam.
Plus, I think the ray of hope there is they were able to access trails from Emily to Copper Harbor all the way.
A little bit of gravel roads, a couple of tar roads.
Yeah.
But Joe, like all of your great inventions have already been invented, all of my brilliant ideas have already been done. I want to do a UTV trip from New York to San Francisco.
Oh, has
and
it
I
been
guarantee
done?
it's
probably
already
been
done. Yeah.
Say, in the Sunday paper, you got to read it carefully.
I always do.
Sunday Pioneer Press,
I always do.
page 13.
Yeah, I didn't go that deep. By the obits?
Yes. Headline is NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. NOAA offers winter preview. And it's a New York Times piece that the Pioneer Press picked up, written by Amy Graff. All right? And I did not sense that it fulfilled the New York Times agenda of pushing the global warming nonsense. It was an attempt to go to the NOAA and just say, what's winter look like coming up? And for example, the lead is, much of the southern half of the United States is likely to see a warmer, drier winter than usual, while the Northwest could be cooler and wetter, according to a preview released this past week by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Climate Prediction Office. Seasonal forecasts such as this one cannot predict the amount of snow or rain that will fall. These forecasts look at probability, providing a range of possible outcomes and their likelihoods, rather than a single prediction. Okay, and then the story divides the country up into regions: Midwest, Great Lakes, California, Northwest, New England, Mid-Atlantic, Southwest, Southeast. For example, Southwest. The odds are good there. There will be above normal temps, particularly in portions of Arizona, New Mexico, and far west Texas. Okay, what about where I live? Okay, that's called the Midwest. Here's what you get. The Midwest tends to be cold. Often bone-chillingly so in winter.
Good start.
And so far, I'm thinking, okay, I'm with you. I get that. Including North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota, could be colder and snowier than usual. Nebraska falls within the part of the country that could be colder than usual. Much of the rest of the region, now pay close attention, much of the rest of the region has an equal chance for above, near, or below normal precipitation and temperature.
Wait, what?
So I stopped there and I said, wait a minute. If I was the editor of the New York Times and I'm on the desk and this story came across my pencil, I'd say, Amy, you got a minute? You're just telling me here that the Midwest has a chance for an equal chance for above, near, or below normal. Well, that's not really telling the reader anything.
That's covering all bases.
That's just, I don't know what that is, but it's meaningless. This is the same newspaper that does champion in its template. It does champion the hysteria of climate change and global warming and all of the other nonsense. But they're admitting here, they're being hoisted on their own petard. They're admitting here none of these forecasts mean anything because they're all based on probabilities. And the worst one is us. We have an equal chance for above, average, or below. So, hello.
Covered. I got it.
Hello. What was your point? I just wanted to get that.
If it was your paper, though, that's what you'd say. Hey, you'd close the blinds.
I'd have to say,
door.
hey, Amy, can I talk to you a minute? What do you mean by this?
Is this what they taught you in school?
What the hell?
Are you done?
I am.
Well,
I agree with everything you just said.
I know you do.
You spoke for me.
Yes, I did.
Except in one phrase which you've used before, and I'm wondering if Matthew could provide me with a
I
definition.
have to write this down. Oh, boy.
Matthew, please
what
help.
it is.
I got turnips in my pocket,
Yeah,
celery growing out of my ears. What does hoist with his own petard mean?
Do you want a drum roll? Would you like a drum roll?
Yes, here's
Okay.
what it means. And I don't want you to Google this on Urban Dictionary. He is very, very talented.
That's what it means?
No,
Yeah.
that doesn't want to mean.
Hoist on his own petard.
You know what? I think we should let it go and let GLers discover for themselves what that means. It's one of the most wonderful phrases in the English language.
John,
Yes.
did you hear from our voting friend, Dan McGrath?
Well, certainly it took a little longer than I thought, but Dan did send me a note. Yes.
So did I, John.
So did emailers.
And we, is Joe Rogan covering this now?
He actually talked about this. I sent this to you guys yesterday or Saturday. I
Yeah,
can't
really
remember.
early in the morning.
It was
Yeah, I know.
yesterday. I was up early. Sorry.
Yeah.
He
So
talked
we-
about
I thought you took time off. That was off day.
yesterday.
Yeah, that was Sunday.
Right.
And you told me you can't read the newspaper on Sundays.
Oh my God, are we bringing this on the air?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we were all up early after that text, too.
I told Joe. He said, "Did you read the bleeping paper yesterday?" And I said, "I just needed a day off. I needed a break." And he didn't understand that.
There
kept
is no
going.
such thing as taking a
I work
break.
24/7, Chris.
Kenny, John, anyone?
I had been up for 3 hours when I received this text, so it did not.
Yeah, I was still
No.
sleeping. It woke me up.
Let
No
me point out that we got into a discussion last week discovering that the driver's license, which is issued to anyone who wants one in Minnesota, is good enough to vote with. John contested that. We arrived at a number of neutral conclusions. But Dan McGrath was listening. He is the voter expert in Minnesota. We're going to have him on again.
I believe tomorrow.
All right. But he writes...
I got something going on tomorrow. That's
Okay.
right. So I forgot to tell you guys.
He addresses this to the esteemed captains of common sense. I'm a bit behind, but just caught up on the, as usual, exemplary GL episode from October 15, wherein you spent some time on the House Fraud Committee's recent interest in election fraud and whether non-citizens can vote. At the end of your inevitably cringe-inducing guessing game
I love that.
about our election laws, I just shrugged and said to myself, well, I tried.
Yeah, I don't know why he bothers anymore.
You do have my contact info, and you're welcome to shoot any questions. I want him on the phone, by the way, tomorrow.
Okay.
There's no need for him to come in because we're not going to dwell on this for a long time. Just have him on the phone.
What is the dwell mark? What's the over-under?
Honestly, I wasn't even going to write this time, but John baited me. So woe on your head, Mr. FYI. GL is always my favorite podcast, and it's really a gem for rare access to discussion on local news and events. That said, just a few points that might help you out. Number one, the last four of Social Security numbers are asked for, but not required on voter registrations, and no cross-checking is done to verify them. It's just an alternate identifying number. Number two, the driver's license for all includes state photo IDs, also valid for voter registration, and no driving tests are needed. For voting purposes, state ID and driver's licenses are interchangeable with equal utility. Number three, vouching trumps every single anti-fraud measure on the books. It's a fast pass to a live ballot with no checks on identity, citizenship, felon status, legal competency, or duplicate voting. Some of that is checked later, poorly, but the damage has already been done by then. 4. When a voter ends up officially flagged for challenge due to a detected ineligibility issue, like citizenship, for example, that doesn't exactly stop the voter in his tracks. They have the option to overcome the challenge at the polling place. Here's how that usually works. Judge, do you swear you're eligible to vote? Voter, yes. Judge, here's your ballot. Good luck, Dan McGrath. We'll talk to him tomorrow. All right?
The judge says, "You serious, Clark?"
Yeah.
The problem with talking to McGrath or anybody about elections is that it's been bollocksed up almost beyond human comprehension. Something that was a quaint American tradition has become extraordinarily tossed and turned. And And McGrath, to his credit, has figured it all out. Period.
Can we play Quiz Kenny?
Sure.
Oh, I love this game.
So they ask for the last 4 digits of your social,
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
but they don't check to see.
According to Dan McGrath. That's correct.
At the risk of starting a fight, which I do not want to do.
John's being very exemplary himself right now.
But how can we doubt any of this is happening?
John apparently does.
Because
prove a negative, Chris, as the old saying goes.
But the problem, John, is we just spent an entire first segment talking about the billions and billions of dollars of fraud
by an organized crime syndicate.
And this is directly correlated with the fact that people are voting in the state that aren't allowed to.
Okay.
These people are being taken
John,
down by their own scheme.
I don't know what to say to that aside from you can't prove a negative.
But John, how can you doubt that that's happening here?
I can doubt it because I don't have any proof. That's how I can doubt it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I don't have any proof.
Okay, no, fair. I'm going to be a peacemaker. That's the one question, John, you should ask Dan McGrath tomorrow. Dan, where is the proof of fraudulent voting?
The other thing I need to ask Dan, because the last part there where he says you just verbally okay it,
yes.
Everything I've read says you have to sign that oath.
That's another thing you can ask Dan.
But even if that oath is signed, you're not going to be able to prove that that person's not eligible if they're doing it in person right away.
Eventually you would be able to, in which case, if they're not a citizen, they're immediately shipped out.
Which is why, again, in the role of peacemaker, we're going to entertain Mr. McGrath.
May I throw another curveball then?
Why not?
It's Game 7 tonight.
Make sure you hang it, will you?
Sure, like the guy did to Ohtani. Yes. Because there's so many examples and so many, and again, I know I'm a skeptic and I get that. But how can we sit there and prove when we have one party rule in this state right now, basically, and they don't seem all that interested in making it more strict? The voting process is what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So how can we not be skeptical of all of this?
I am skeptical of it.
Okay.
They're being taken down by their own scheme. They're being annihilated by their own bomb. They're being hoisted on their own petard.
Hoisted, if you will.
Yes.
You got it, Rook.
Shoot, this is Hamlet stabbing Capernonius through the window.
No, you're going too far now.
Okay.
Don't overdo it.
Stay in my lane.
Just don't overdo it. Stay in your lane.
You went Engie on it.
Yeah, I went one too far.
You went one.
So will Dan be on first tomorrow then?
I'm working to verify that, Johnny.
Yeah, I will. Let me know what time, and I'll join you about 20 minutes after that.
No,
okay?
I want you to say, I know it's a valid question. How does Dan come up with the proof? Would be a valid question.
My question for Reavers is why what John just said made sense to me. There's no proof. Show me proof. And Chris, you should be asking the same thing of yourself. Where's the proof for you, for your argument?
I'll never forget the story that came out. I don't recall the publication. It was local. It wasn't one of the big newspapers. And I sent you the story, Joe, the ballot harvesting story. Do you guys remember talking about this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I just cannot ever get that image out of my head.
But that entire story pretty much was disproven.
Well, but again, okay, maybe.
Why don't we wait for McGrath?
Now that we're turning it into
all right.
Yeah,
the conversation Joe didn't want to have.
I'm going to be running a little late tomorrow.
Yeah, me too, Kenny. Isn't that weird?
You know what, then? Fine. I'll be glad to talk to him. I'll get it straightened out for the GLers.
Kenny, you want to meet for breakfast, and then we can just join the show.
So you guys are going straight.
Tire.
You guys are going straight. No kings on this, huh? Someone presents facts. I'm not interested.
Oh Jesus! Don't start that. I got a whole show if you want to go that place.
That's a brilliant segue, Reavers. My hat is off to you.
You're welcome.
I would also like to
I
clear.
have lists if you'd like them. Chris.
I would also like to clear up something from our friend Steve Mulholland, who lives in the belly of the beast in Minneapolis. He wrote us a cheery note last week on how much he enjoyed New York.
Yes.
And then Mr. Mulholland suffered some pushback on that with people saying, "Are you crazy? That's a dangerous town." All right. Mr. Mulholland has responded. Joe, if I may make a point of clarification regarding my recent trip to New York and my comment about feeling safe while walking along Central Park past midnight. I was disheartened to be branded a moron by the likes of Sanibel Jim and his GL neighbors in Florida, not to mention Reavers and his GL neighbors in South Dakota, to have such a reckless disregard for my own safety. I wrote that I walked along Central Park, more specifically along Central Park South, past the Four Seasons, the Plaza Hotel, and all those smelly horse carriages. Please give me more credit than to be dumb enough to venture deep into the darkness of Manhattan's urban forest at such a late hour. Although I like my chances better there than 8th and Hennepin these days. Keep pushing back. Loyal listener in the belly of the beast, Liberal Lakes area of Minneapolis, Steve. All right. He, in other words, he's a GLer. He watched himself. He had his back. He had his back. So,
how many of us here at GL can say they've relieved themselves in strawberry fields in Central Park? Just me?
Well, I've been in Central Park many times. I really can't recall defacing it in any way.
Well, I used a bush.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a gentleman.
Well,
and then I ventured over to the Dakota and reacted a scene there from history.
Oh, jeez.
That involved gunshots.
And shocked passersby.
I had a big breakfast yesterday.
Well, congratulations.
Okay. Sick brag, dude.
No, I never do. Went out for breakfast. And not brunch. I won't do a brunch.
You don't like the concept?
I don't like the concept. But it was a 9 a.m. type deal, which is, I met my time limit. I was okay with the time limit.
Any coffee?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But the only observation I had was I was never hungry the rest of the day. It took until dinner time to even have the idea that I might want something to eat.
Oh, all right.
That's all I said.
I had a small breakfast, and then during the Viking game, a charcuterie board was brought out, and then I made pulled pork that was in the
I
slow
didn't
cooker.
see any of the Viking game. It was too nice to be indoors. I will say this about baseball. I see your hands.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
All right. Sorry.
Did Ohtani have the best game in the history of an individual baseball player?
Well,
Is there a way to determine that?
I don't know how you could because he did two separate things that
He
is
pitched-
remarkable on their own.
10 strikeouts and 6 shutout innings.
Yep.
And 3 home runs.
Yeah.
One which cleared the center field scoreboard at Dodger Stadium.
I'm aware of that. Is that the best performance by an individual in the history of baseball?
I think in postseason baseball, I sent Chris a text saying, how about that Ohtani performance?
Again, I hate everything that the Dodgers represent, but it's one of the best performances you'll ever see in sports.
Well, John,
let
you
alone
say
baseball.
postseason. Has
Well,
anyone
probably-
ever done that in the regular season?
No.
Unless it was
I'm
him.
Sure Babe Ruth probably pitched and hit 1 home run, but
Yeah.
no, never,
In a game that sent his team to the World Series,
Exactly.
I
Yep.
would think that that's probably as good as
I
it
think
gets.
it's as good, yeah, exactly.
He's going to go down as the best player in the history of the sport.
Milwaukee won all 6 meetings with the Dodgers in regular season.
Yep.
What happened?
They're not good enough. The
Well, they
Dodgers
were
are
in the
just-
regular season.
The Dodgers just are
No
that much
depth,
better.
Joe. No depth.
Dodgers had a lot
They're all
of
too
issues
tight.
during the season too, Joe. Injuries, that sort of thing. And now the Dodgers are pretty healthy, especially the pitching staff. So
Especially Ohtani.
Matt, you and I should do a baseball show.
They're all too tight, Kenny.
Yeah.
They're
No
just-
depth there,
they're-
Matthew.
They're ripped. You know? Something I will never be.
Extra is ordinary in Sioux Falls. Look at the numbers. In addition to having a business-friendly tax environment with no personal or corporate state income taxes, Sioux Falls is growing 300,000 people. Has a large, well-educated workforce. The cost of living is low, and with a central location and developed industrial parks, so is your cost of doing business. Contact the Sioux Falls Development Foundation. They'll connect you with all the resources you need to stop searching for a perfect site if you want to expand your business, start a new one, move your business. Number one, best small city in the country for business and careers by Forbes magazine. As I mentioned, no state, corporate, or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, no limits to what your business can achieve, and a state government that welcomes competitiveness and entrepreneurship. Check it all out for yourself at Sioux Falls Development, one word, SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
Whether you're leaf peeping or looking at lakes, you should find yourself a great bank, and you can do that.
I wasn't leaf peeping.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's what I heard. Anywho's,
They come to you.
North American Banking Company is here for you, your family, and also for you small business owners. And you know what? Locally owned and operated with that personalized service, and that's what you get anytime that you walk into any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations, whether it's Roseville, 50th in France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, or Maple Grove. They offer all of the services as the other big national banks, whether you're looking to buy a home, perhaps finance that new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been dreaming about. My friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to make that happen for you. So your first step should be checking them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Once again, it's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender. Joe?
Say, shout out to
Where's Joe?
John David and Grant. We went and got our pumpkins this weekend. And he lost his wife, who was a nurse, huge listener to the show. He watches the show every day on YouTube. So, hello, John David.
Nice.
Here's John Heidt.
Thank you, Joe. I was thinking maybe when Dan shows up tomorrow, maybe he'll just want to talk baseball instead of
Could be.
voting. What do you
Could
think?
be.
Is he coming on the show tomorrow? Inside?
We're going to get him on the phone.
Oh.
This news brought to you by North American Banking Company. Update to a story we've been following. A judge on Friday handed down a 14-year sentence to that former Minnesota Teacher of the Year who was convicted of sexually abusing one of his students. Following an August bench trial, Hennepin County Judge Sarah West found Abdul Wright guilty of grooming and sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl when he taught language arts at Harvest Best Academy Charter School in 2017. In 2016, Education Minnesota had named Wright Teacher of the Year. Prosecutors charged the 39-year-old Wright after the victim's mother reported the abuse in 2024. He resigned from his most recent job at St. Louis Park High School when the allegations came to light. West sentenced Wright to 172 months, the top of the guidelines range for a person with no previous criminal history convicted of first-degree criminal sexual conduct. Under Minnesota law, Wright must spend two-thirds of that time, or 9.5 years in prison, before being eligible to serve the remainder unsupervised release. West also ordered Wright to register as a predatory offender.
He got more time than George Santos, who was pardoned by Trump after, I think he went to prison. He went to a
7
country
months.
club jail on about August 25th. So what's that? He didn't even serve 2 months.
I got that in the news.
Oh, good.
If we get to it. 2 people are in custody this morning after an overnight standoff in Brooklyn Park. An alert from Brooklyn Park police say officers were sent to a home along Laramie Trail near Newton Avenue North at about 9:50 p.m. Sunday after callers reported hearing gunshots in the area. When officers got there, they set up a perimeter and found evidence that someone had, as reported, fired gunshots near one of the homes. The area was blocked off for several hours. A SWAT team called in to help. Eventually, after attempts to make contact with those inside the home were unsuccessful, crews were able to get inside and arrest 2 suspects. Police say the investigation is still active. No other details have been released at this time. Luckily, no injuries reported. Authorities are looking for a group of suspects accused of robbing 2 church employees outside a South Minneapolis church over the weekend. Minneapolis police say officers were called to a reported robbery outside St. Joan of Arc Catholic Church. That's located off East 45th Street and 3rd Avenue South just after 8 in the morning on Sunday. Investigators say 2 men, who the church said were maintenance workers, were leaving church when 7 or 8 male suspects got out of a pair of vehicles and approached the men. The suspects then pushed one of the men to the ground and robbed him. Someone reportedly threw something at the other man, although the victim avoided it. Police say the suspects then got back in their vehicles and drove off. Police said there was camera footage of the incident. They said they did obtain a license plate from one of the suspects' vehicles. Both victims were evaluated at the scene and then taken to a hospital for treatment. Both are expected to be fine. Police looked around the area, didn't find any money immediately. Their investigation remains active. And thousands of homeowners in Minnesota are seeing delays in energy bill assistance due to the ongoing government shutdown. The Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, known as LIHEAP, cannot provide benefits while the shutdown continues. In 2024, Minnesota got $125 million in federal funds, helping 125,000 homes with their utility bills. An official with the Minnesota Department of Commerce said she's hopeful the shutdown will end soon and encouraged residents to apply for assistance. Why don't we take a quick break here? We'll be back with national and international stuff right after we hear from Rookie.
Thank you, John. You know, for the last several years here on Garage Logic, I've been telling you all about the great things the Minnesota Freemasons are doing. You know, they donate millions of dollars annually to support cancer research, healthy aging studies, children's communication disorders, just to name a few great things they do. The Freemasons throughout Minnesota, they work together to make the world a better place, focusing on core values, authentic friendship, personal growth, helping those in need. And if you want to learn more, they'd invite you to their website, mnfreemasons.org. Also, you and your family pay attention to the upcoming civility projects that are aimed at rediscovering the power of respect, empathy, and connection. This initiative gives the next generation to thoughts about reclaiming civility through real conversations, timeless etiquette, and building community. They'll have more on their website, mnmasoniccharities.org/civility project. But check out all the great things the Freemasons do by, again, going to their website one more time, mnmasoniccharities.org/civility project.
Here's a guy filling out his disclosure statement. Joe Souchere.
Hey, right here. Huh?
It's time to play Love in a Hardware Store.
Yes, it is.
Well, thanks, Pat. I'm not going to play Love in a Hardware Store, but I will give you the national and international news. Amazon says an issue which affected its cloud computing services unit AWS is now fully mitigated. It was hit by an outage which disrupted lots of popular websites and apps across the world, including Ring, Robinhood, Snapchat, Facebook, Fortnite, and tons of others. Some airlines reported disruptions and delays. Banks in the UK were out of action for a while. One tech expert says AWS is right in the middle of pretty much everything these days that happens online, and that caused some consternation around the interwebs. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says his reportedly tense meeting with President Donald Trump last week was positive, even though he did not secure the Tomahawk missiles for Ukraine. He said emphasized what he said is continued American interest in economic deals with Kyiv. Zelensky said Trump reneged on the possibility of sending long-range missiles to Ukraine, which would have been a major boost following his phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin hours before Zelensky met with Trump. According to Zelensky, Trump said during their meeting that Putin's maximalist demand that Ukraine cede the entirety of Ukraine's eastern Donetsk and Luhansk regions was unchanged. That's been a non-starter in all talks to end the war. Zelensky said Trump was looking to end the war and hopes his meeting in the coming weeks with Putin in Hungary will pave the way for a peace deal after their first summit in Alaska in August failed to reach such an outcome.
I have a serious question about that. Is Russia occupying Ukraine in a part of Ukraine that is very active or a nice piece of land, like a Cape Cod or something like that?
No.
Or is it just a random piece of land and they want... It's not luxurious or anything like that, correct?
Yeah, it's 2 pieces of land, actually. Yeah, and there's cities. in them.
But there's nothing special about them. They just want them.
Russia, yeah.
Okay.
Well, the prevailing thought is that Russia would like to continue to expand, if you know what I'm saying.
Got it.
Russia would like to recreate its
Soviet.
imperialistic dynasty from a couple hundred years ago.
Okay.
Reimagine?
Yeah.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has now met with top U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner after weekend violence threatened to derail that U.S.-brokered ceasefire in Gaza. A Netanyahu spokesperson said that U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife are expected to visit Israel within a few days to meet with Netanyahu. Meanwhile, President Trump said the ceasefire was still in effect after Israel launched deadly airstrikes and halted all aid to Gaza on Sunday, saying its troops had come under fire from Hamas. 2 Israeli soldiers killed, about 100 Palestinians died as both sides blamed the other for violating the ceasefire. The president said Hamas leadership may not be involved in the violations. He told reporters aboard Air Force One, "We think maybe the leadership isn't involved. Either way, it'll be handled toughly but properly." He was unsure, he said, if the Israeli strikes were justified, saying, "I'll have to get back to you on that."
I have a question. You got your Hamas.
Yep.
You're currently getting, or you were, I guess, getting aid, and you're disrupting all of that. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be the first ones then to complain about the breaking of the ceasefire?
You're correct.
Okay. That's a good setup they got over there.
A manhunt is underway after thieves broke into the Louvre and stole.
Very good, John. Very good.
I got to share a sentiment with our listener, the Mink. I like a good jewel heist.
Oh.
I think they're interesting.
You're pro?
I mean, this one's got visions of Cary Grant and Gina Lollobrigida on the back of a Vespa. And it's just,
Very
interesting.
interesting,
Very classy.
Did you get the feeling with this that somebody somewhere had placed an order and then these guys went out and got it? Because how are you going to fence this stuff?
You break it up so it's unrecognizable. You just, all of a sudden, now you got a pouch of diamonds in your hand.
What was the movie with Steve McQueen and Ollie McGraw, The Getaway?
The Getaway.
They were doing a job for a guy. Yep. I think these guys were doing a job.
Could have
for
been.
Somebody. Yeah.
But to the worshipers of the Napoleonic estate, they'll never see this stuff again because they'll just chop it up into emeralds and diamonds.
I don't believe that. I think this is in somebody's collection now.
Well, that'd be pretty bold.
The jewelry, as Joe just alluded to, belonged to Napoleon Bonaparte's family, some of it. The gang entered the Apollo Gallery in broad daylight shortly after 9:30 a.m. Once the gallery had opened to the public, stole 9 items, including a necklace, a brooch, and a tiara. The masked criminals arrived in high-powered scooters and reportedly gained access to a part of the building where construction was taking place after using a van-mounted extendable ladder to enter on the Seine River side of the museum.
I'm hearing the Ocean's 11 music.
How could this be in broad daylight?
And how do you sell that stuff?
I'm going to tell you one more time.
Dummy, are you not listening?
What?
Not you.
Oh,
the other dummy.
Yeah.
Dumb to your left.
I'm so used to being answered.
Right.
Send him to the lunchroom or
They
something.
break it all up, Chris, and now you walk
Joe,
into Molars and you got a
Joe.
diamond in your hand.
Oh, so now you got Moeller on the hook
This
for
is
it.
Napoleon. Who's in that? I can't
Overrated.
take this. Yeah.
The items stolen, among them a sapphire necklace, earrings, and a tiara belonging to Queen Marie Amelie and Queen Hortense. That's an unfortunate name, don't you think?
Hortense. That's
Hortense.
a beauty.
I'll
Also
take Hortense for 800, Alex.
Also believed to have been stolen were an emerald necklace and earrings belonging to Empress Marie Louise, the second wife of Napoleon
He
Bonaparte.
had a lot of gals at Napoleon. The little guy.
A
He
brooch.
played the field.
A brooch belonging to Napoleon III's wife, Empress Eugenie, was also taken, as well as a large diamond corsage bow, which was bought from a private owner in the U.S. back in 2008 for a lot of money.
Boy, oh boy.
What was Napoleon III known for? Did he do anything?
I don't think so. He just collected jewelry.
Right.
The museum is closed today as the investigation continues.
How about the guards? The guards gave it up pretty easy. Hey, we got these ankle grinders that we're going to throw in your throat if you don't let us through. Okay, go right here. The Napoleon stuff's to the right.
Yeah, we got that.
Well, don't you think the Louvre should have better security than that?
Yes, I do.
To be truthful, I thought that immediately, Rook.
Okay.
Yeah, but they were working on the building. You got through the construction deal.
But it was open for business. I mean,
There
come on.
were museum goers in the building.
Correct.
Well, the heist was taking place.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
Where was Peter Sellers during all of this?
He was fighting with Cato.
I think we watched way too many movies.
He
from
was
that
exercising,
conversation.
and he did that flip into a which he thought was going to be a floor, and he landed about 3 floors down.
Democrats and Republicans alike unhappy about President Trump's Friday decision to commute the sentence of former GOP Rep. George Santos.
I'm unhappy about it, John.
I understand, Joe. Yeah. Santos was freed from prison over the weekend. He also fired off an array of apologies to many people he had wronged over the years, though he didn't name the donors he was convicted of swindling. He did that yesterday morning when he was on a television news show. He said, quote, "I was in a chaotic ball of flame 2 years ago. I was my own worst enemy, and I'm sorry to the American people."
Go bleep yourself.
I'm sorry to the people of the 3rd Congressional District of New York, and I'm sorry to the Republican Party who invested their time in me.
Okay, if you're one of the, and you know who I'm talking to, if you think Trump walks on water, how do you reconcile this? This guy was a lying fraud who stole money.
I don't know how you
reconcile this.
I would not have pardoned him.
Because what we learned, too, is that he got pardoned because he voted Republican. Well, so that tells me that, and then he said, Trump said something to the effect that there's a lot of rogues among us, and this rogue should be let free or whatever. Well, there's probably a lot of Democratic rogues. Do they get freed?
No.
I bet they don't. Not that they should, nor should this guy have gotten freed.
Should not have.
Thank you.
Joe, we all have friends and coworkers who maybe...
What can this lying fraud... What's his name?
George Santos.
What can he do for Trump? Trump doesn't do this stuff unless he's getting something out of it. So what can this fraud do for Trump? That's a great mystery that will never be answered.
We all have friends and coworkers that maybe we're not so proud of, but we stand by them anyway.
Yeah.
Report to work every day.
Santos would not say. Now, he still owes all this money, but because of this, he doesn't have to pay it, apparently.
Maybe he heisted the diamonds. That's how he's going to pay it back.
He said maybe
Who does
he
he sell
will.
them to?
Maybe he won't. $374,000 is what he owes in restitution to victims of his wire fraud conviction. So we'll see if.
Yeah, I just want an answer from the people who know who I'm talking to. How do you reconcile this one? This is ridiculous. It's appalling.
This wasn't really timed this way, but my next story is millions of protesters turned out in cities across the U.S. Saturday.
If there was ever a time for social media to have the man on the street, it was this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Demonstrating against what they described as authoritarian overreach by the Trump administration. Organizers of the No Kings rallies estimated the cumulative turnout between 5 and 7 million people. Crowds ranged from more than 250,000 in Chicago, 100,000 across New York City's 5 boroughs, to about 10 to 15,000 in places like Salt Lake City. No major incidents reported, although 15 people were detained after clashes with police at an ICE detention center just west of Chicago.
I got caught in one. I saw a lot of overweight white males holding up signs that said 8647, which means kill.
Right.
Well, okay, bitch at them all you want, but we shouldn't be calling for killing.
So you shouldn't have a piñata in which you invite children to come stab it in the middle of the street.
I don't think so. I mean, there's enough to complain about without going that end.
We had a lot of that going on, too.
Yeah.
I saw some pictures on Facebook where my wife had zoomed in. I saw a lot of people I knew.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. That's fine. Stand on the curb, and that's great. But you're calling for his murder. That's not great.
It's taking it too far.
I think so.
It was a beautiful weekend for Heidt.
It really was.
And let me use this opportunity to plug my Heidt Resort here in western Douglas County.
That's right. He does have one.
For a small fee, $5,000, you can spend the weekend smacking a stick into the ground and screaming at the person that's done you wrong.
That's right. The Heidt Resort. What's the title? What's it called?
FU Resort.
FU Resort. Fun Unlimited.
Yes.
I feel, of course, then that I must point out that our president took to Truth Social to post something
He sure did.
that
I didn't understand that, John. Could you describe it for us?
Yeah, he was flying an airplane, a jet fighter, and he dumped a bunch of feces.
Manure, let's call it.
Let's call it manure, on protesters, to which I had somebody immediately texted me, you know what they said, right? There he is again, bleeping all over the American people, just like he always does. He immediately was
They make
texted
jets
to me.
that are manure spreaders?
They do, for him, they do.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then I
Beautiful
thought,
manure.
it was really weird because then what's Fuentes' first name? Brian Pete
Carlos,
Sam,
Frankie?
the goofball Nazi.
Rick.
He attacked Trump
Yeah.
for running that, saying there's something wrong with his brain. So I thought, okay, you know what? This is not the real world. We've exited the real world.
No, this is bears no resemblance at all to anything.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
I got punked by my wife saying that the CP was seen in one of the photos with her Garage Logic sign and all of her Garage Logic garb on the corner.
I happen to know that wasn't true. She was unavailable to participate.
Okay, good, because I did look up and said, no! I said, I got you.
I had many Facebook friends who took part, probably 20 that I can think of off the top of my head. Since we last did a show, Paul Daniel Ace Frehley, co-founder, lead guitarist of Kiss, has died. He died after injuries suffered during a fall last month, according to a statement from his family. Frehley had joined co-founders Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, and Peter Criss. Late in 1972, remained with the band for most of their significant eras. He left in 82 for a solo career, but rejoined in 96 when they reunited. He worked as a solo artist during the intervening years with his band Frehley's Comet and under his own name. And in 1978, remember, all four members of Kiss released solo albums. A lot of folks thought his was the best, featured the hit song, New York Groove. Frehley was 74 years old. No comments.
Where do you guys?
I'm not going to fight with
across
Joe.
the street.
Joe's going to say something
some good
rude
lyrics.
and wrong and untoward, and I don't feel like fighting with him.
Well,
I wanna
they were
rock and roll
lousy.
all
They were a
night.
lousy
Okay.
band.
Party every
All
day.
right, whatever, Gramps,
They
whatever.
were
Seriously.
lousy band.
It's
was
like
never
talking
a
to a
Kiss fan.
200-year-old man.
I was never a
Seriously.
Kiss fan. They were the opposite of what I listened to.
You guys
But to deny... No, you
don't-
shut up for a minute, Olson. But to deny their influence...
Well, I didn't
think-
deny their influence. I said they're a lousy
you can't.
band.
I mean,
Here's
you
what
got
it was.
everybody
and you
in the
guys
world.
don't
and nobody
understand
has
this.
any taste. That's why they
No,
had
I'm
influence.
talking about guys like Dave Grohl. And, I mean,
well,
you know.
Here's
Takes
what
a
you
lot
don't
to put
understand.
that makeup on.
You don't understand fun. That's all Kiss was fun.
I guess I don't.
Let me also say that I read Mike Campbell's autobiography. He was the lead guitarist in Tom Petty's Heartbreakers.
We're aware of that.
He said there was a chapter about them early on the road. He said Kiss was very helpful to them because they opened for Kiss. And he said Gene Simmons talked them up everywhere he could, every newspaper, every article, talked about how good they were, et cetera, and said they were very kind to them, which in those days, if you're familiar with the history of rock and roll, was not something that usually happened.
You know how Ace got the job?
How?
He responded to an ad in the Village Voice.
I saw that, yes. And then he came in and he had to do their songs. They wouldn't tell him, they wouldn't do any covers. They said, here's one we just wrote. They played it and told him what key it was in and made him go.
It probably had 3 chords.
John, the same stuff.
Nothing wrong with 3-chord songs. Jesus, God.
God,
You know,
Joe,
sometimes, Joe, I worry
seriously,
about you.
you're so anti-fun. Really. John, the same thing can be said about Van Halen.
Yes. What about him?
They were big in promoting and bringing Van Halen to the recording studio.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons in particular.
Yeah.
What else did Ace have to do to get the job?
I don't know. He got the job, though.
Got it.
Let's move on. That was way too much time to be spent on one of the lousiest rock and roll bands.
I want to rock and roll
such
all
a
night and
negative
party every
creep.
day.
Yeah,
You
they were
don't like
dreadful.
having fun.
Just
You don't like
dreadful.
having fun.
If
You
they
need to
played
go to
at
the
your
ranch.
prom, that might have been fun.
You're anti-fun.
He
You
needs to go to
don't
the ranch.
You can never actually unclench, can you?
I'm
just enjoy life.
I'm perfectly willing to have fun. But the Kiss was a lousy band. Who are you kidding? They were horrible.
What's really funny is anything we've talked about today, you'll get more bad comments to you about this than anything we've talked about all day online.
I bet you I get emails about Kiss agreeing with me.
Why can't you just shut up and let people have their fun and mourn a guy that's died? Why do you have to be like this?
I don't think anybody's mourning.
I think Joe likes the song. I want to pucker up all night.
Big oops over the weekend. I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, no.
Metal shrapnel from an exploding artillery shell fell and hit and damaged the California Highway Patrol vehicle as personnel at a U.S. Marine Corps base fired live rounds over a highway against the objections of the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, during weekend exercises observed by Vice President J.D. Vance. Luckily, nobody was hurt. It happened when ordnance detonated overhead prematurely during Saturday's exercise at Camp Pendleton. Newsom had strongly objected to the firing of munitions over Interstate 5 for safety reasons. He then closed the 17-mile stretch of the road connecting Los Angeles and San Diego during the drills. The incident occurred in an area where officers had shut down the traffic. According to the Highway Patrol, a Marine Corps spokesperson, the service was aware of a possible airborne detonation of a 155-millimeter artillery round outside the designated impact area. Before all that happened, the Marine Corps had said there was nothing unsafe about the exercise. They said they didn't have to stop traffic on I-5, but the governor did it anyway. One occupied patrol vehicle was hit by shrapnel during all this. Officers found a 2-inch piece of shrapnel in the vehicle. It left a small dent and scratch on the vehicle's hood. One Highway Patrol motorcycle was hit by shrapnel. Officers said they notified the Marine Corps, which then canceled the firing of any more live ordnance over the highway. Officers didn't find any more metal and reopened the road.
I did get an interesting review of the Paul McCartney concert from a woman who was very impressed that in more than 3 hours, he never even took a leak.
Wow.
Wow.
He is 80.
At his age?
83 years old.
Yeah, it's impossible at this point.
Much older than Ace.
I did see at one point, because it was Friday night, correct? The show was?
That's right.
I did see at one point, you could get in for a pretty decent price.
Yeah.
On the street or?
Secondary market, yeah.
Secondary, yeah.
Like what? How much?
Like less than 50.
I saw $30.
Well, I had 2 youngsters attend, and they were thrilled.
I was just disappointed I wasn't able to sit next to John this time. Like
and
we
leave
were last
early.
time.
John,
take
thank
off.
you.
See ya. Let me know if he does anything else. Bye.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Heard the whole thing walking out the door.
Let me know if he does wings.
Would that have been at Target Field?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That was a good concert.
It was. I had a very pregnant woman with me, then she was ready to go home.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my call.
Say, you know perfectly well that if we had almost 8 inches of snow on this day in 2020, snow was on the way. You want to get your garage door taken care of while the weather is still accommodating. Get a hold of Precision Door. If you need a new door, GLers get $100 off a single door and $200 off a double door. And if you like your current door, but you're a little worried about it, she's acting up, she's making some odd noises, you want to get that taken care of before the cold weather sets in. So they have a noisy door tune-up special that includes a 25-point safety inspection. It's $149. That's usually a $290 value. And so either one, get ready for the colder weather ahead. Annual maintenance reduces the future wear and breakdowns of your door. Book online at precisiondoormn.com, precisiondoormn, one word.com, or call Precision Door at 612-263-6985 to schedule either a new door consultation, that's free, of course, or maybe you want to book a noisy door special.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
Solo.
Only because they come to us all the way from the traveling Lymans who are still in San Martí, Barcelona, Spain.
Okay.
You can follow them at worldwidewaftage.com. It's the only reason. It's because they come to us all the way. It was on this day,
October 20th.
1818. The northern boundary of the United States was set at the 49th parallel of latitude, extending from Lake of the Woods to the Rocky Mountains. On this day,
October 20th.
in 1849, the Minnesota Historical Society was incorporated by an act of the territorial legislature, and Alexander Ramsey was elected its first president.
Oh, of course.
On this day,
October 20th.
in 1896, daily mail delivery began in Cannon City.
You ever been?
How can we have a Minnesota History Center when we have been a state for 1 year?
Good question. On this day,
Joe, today is October 20th.
in 1937, the brothel of St. Paul's most famous madam, Nina Clifford, was demolished after 50 years of business at 147 Washington Street, right where the Minnesota Club is now. Well, it used to be the Minnesota Club. Now I think it's the Wild corporate offices.
Yes, it is. The Wild have their corporate offices there.
On this day,
Thank you. October 20th.
1995, the movie Mallrats opened.
Oh,
Good
sweet.
show. Quality.
Filmed at the Eden Prairie Mall and directed by independent film sensation Kevin
Smith.
Smith. The movie flopped in theaters but developed a cult following.
Boy, did it ever.
Yes, it did.
John, are you in that cult? I am. I love that movie.
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I've only seen it once. I'm not.
By the way, Joe, Cannon City,
I'm just going to be quiet because Kenny will just get pissed.
he might be gone already.
I'm not angry. You know what? You do you. I'm sorry for objecting.
Your Highness.
No, seriously.
On this day in Minnesota
you.
sports disappointment history.
Who'd we lose to on October 20th?
Well, in 1991, on this day, you had the famous Ron Gant Kent Herbeck wrestling match.
And I have that ready to go for Monday Night Sports
All
Talk.
right. And on this day,
Joe, today is October 20th.
in 2019, the Loons lost to the LA Galaxy 2-1 in the first round of their first MLS playoffs. Major League Soccer, right?
Yes, sir.
And they lost. So that was a disappointment.
Yes, it was.
And thank you very much, GL.
Cannon City, about 20 minutes northeast of Faribault.
I'm unaware of Cannon City.
Been there many times.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Cannon Falls?
Nope, Cannon Falls is due west. Cannon City is a very small community.
And it still exists.
It's in Rice County, yep.
Do you think that they know that on this day in 1896 they finally got mail delivery?
I think there is something there that commemorates that very thing.
I wonder why there. I mean, everybody eventually gets mail delivery.
Hey, something's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
True. All right, well, thank you so much.
You got it, Ace. Let's do this. Huh?
What's the name of the mansion next to the governor's on the corner there? Wasn't she an old madam?
No.
Not Baker. It's
Ma Baker.
I know who you're thinking of, but no.
Was it? Okay.
That one, the woman who ran for office all the time?
I think so.
Yeah, I know who you're thinking of.
Okay.
Please do us a favor and hit subscribe on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. That's right, Garage Logic's got a YouTube channel. It's got a dark screen right now, but you can watch the show each and every single day, starting right around noon. You can also see full segments, video shorts. There's behind-the-scenes footage, but it's all there for you. Just
Sometimes
search
even
Garage.
There's a crispness to it.
Yes, Garage Logic on YouTube. You can also search Garage Logic on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And also, don't forget to sign up for the Daily Logician. That's an email that comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast Sign up today at garagelogic.com.
Thank you, Mick. Butler Mansion.
Rosalie Butler.
Butler, that's what it is.